Every time I open Instagram, I notice the same thing. A guy in Dubai, a supercar that may or may not be his, a watch shot on the steering wheel, some vague caption about discipline or mindset, and then always, without fail, a link in the bio. Join the community, book a call, learn the system, escape the rat race. And what messes with my head isn't even the lifestyle anymore. I've seen this enough to be completely numb to it. It's the pattern. Because it genuinely doesn't matter what they say that their business is. E-commerce, trading, OFM, SMMA, dropshipping, Amazon, crypto, AI agencies, it doesn't matter. Pick your costume. If you scroll long enough, every single one of them reveals the same thing underneath. The real business model is not the thing that they teach. The real business model is teaching. It's coaching. And once you see that clearly, it becomes impossible to unsee. Because it suddenly explains everything. Why they all end up with the same offers, why they all migrate to school, and why the lifestyle always looks so disproportionate to the underlying business. And most importantly, why so many of these people print money, even when their students don't. Because coaching is not a normal business. Coaching is the apex predator. It eats everything else. Most people have a very traditional picture of how money is supposed to be made. You do something useful, you deliver value, you build systems, you solve real problems. And if you do that for long enough, then money shows up on the other side. And to be fair, that is how real businesses work. Coaching works differently. In coaching, the product is not the outcome. The product is the feeling that the outcome is possible. That sounds cynical, but it's not optional. That is literally what's being sold. Hope, certainty, identity. And those three things are an absurdly powerful combination in a world full of people who hate their jobs, feel late to their own lives, and desperately want a way out. So here's why coaching is so overpowered. It gets paid up front. A cafe gets paid after the work. An agency gets paid after they deliver. A CFO firm gets paid after they do the work. Even software gets paid after the user experience is valued. Coaching gets paid before anything has actually happened. Someone wakes up miserable on a Monday morning. They doom scroll on their phone. They see your content. They feel a spike of hope, and they buy the program that afternoon. The money arrives before reality. And that single mechanic changes everything. Because once the customer has already paid, you're no longer fighting for cash. You're just fighting to keep them believing. And this is the part that a lot of people don't understand fully. The delivery itself in coaching is rarely the hard part. The hard part is attention and sales. The hard part is emotional regulation of the buyers. You're not really running a company. You're managing a mood. If the buyer continues to feel hopeful, well then they stay. If they feel ashamed, they disappear. If they feel confused, they churn. And if they feel angry, then they'll ask for a refund. So the coach learns the real craft, how to manufacture certainty, how to reframe setbacks, how to redirect blame, and how to keep the whole story alive just enough for the recurring payments to keep hitting. And that's why it scales. A normal business scales by increasing production. Coaching scales by increasing belief. And belief has almost zero marginal cost. You don't need a factory, you need a funnel. And the funnel is content. And this is why everybody that appears to make it online always ends up being an influencer. Not because they love doing content or they want to flex on everybody, but because attention is the production line. If you really want to understand coaching, stop thinking about it as teaching and think about it instead as a business which sells psychological states, hope, certainty, and identity. And then it monetizes those states in layers. And this is the part where it starts to feel quite uncomfortable. Because once you understand the unit economics, you realize why this business model attracts every smart marketer and every morally flexible operator on the internet. So let's do some basic math, not influencer math, just real, actual math. Imagine for a second that you have a small audience. Not famous, you're not a celebrity, you've just got 10,000 followers across platforms. If you can convert just 1% into a paid community, that's 100 people. Now charge them $99 each per month, and you're already at 10 grand per month with almost no costs. But here's the thing, that is the lowest tier. And now you add what every coach eventually adds because it's obvious once you see it, an upsell. This will be something like a bootcamp, a masterclass, a 90-day sprint, a mentorship. Call it $2,000. If just 2% of your members buy that each month, That's another $4,000. And now you're pushing 14 grand a month from a tiny audience. And then comes the high ticket layer, because there will always be a subset of people who want proximity, speed, and the illusion of certainty. This is your one-on-one, your private calls, your inner circle, or your done with you. And this is $10,000. Sell just one of those per month, and now you're at $25,000 per month. Without being famous, without scale, and without complexity. And this is the part that a lot of people struggle to accept because it makes the world feel unfair. But it's not. This is literally just human psychology. People will pay good money to feel less alone. They will pay to feel like they're making progress. And they will pay to borrow certainty from someone who looks like they have already won. And now let's zoom out. The guys that you are following on Instagram do not have 10,000 followers. They're on 100,000, 200,000, or 500,000. And they're not selling one product. They're selling ladders, community course, high ticket events, certifications, affiliates done for you. And once the machine is printing, they pour fuel on it. Paid ads. And this is why you see coaches that are running ads to their own followers. That is the final form of this. That means the customer lifetime value is so high and the acquisition cost is so low that they can literally pay to show their offer to people who already know them and still make money. And that should make you pause, because it means that the content isn't the point. The content is just the free sample. The sale is the point, and the sale is not about truth, it's about conversion. And here's the worst part. Coaching still prints even if the students fail. A normal business is accountable to outcomes. If the food is shit, people don't come back. If the ads don't work, clients will churn. If the numbers are wrong, you get fired. But coaching has an escape hatch baked into the model. If the student succeeds, that example gets cherry-picked and the coach is a genius. But if the student fails, it's the student's fault. They didn't execute, they didn't stay consistent, they didn't want it badly enough, and they didn't follow the process. And that is why this model is so resilient. It can survive mediocre results because the explanation is always available, and the market is infinite. Every year, millions of people graduate into jobs that they hate, lives they didn't choose, and timelines that just feel off. And they don't buy education. They buy escape. They buy a story. They buy a new identity. And that's why school and all of these online gurus keep showing up. School isn't a problem. It is a retention device. It turns your offer into a subscription. It replaces outcomes with community pressure. And it gives people a place to belong. And belonging is sticky. That's literally why cults work. Now, for the record, none of this means that coaching is inherently bad. There are two kinds. There's real coaching, where you have receipts, a specific outcome, and the ability to actually transfer skill. And then there's hope farming, vague promises, infinite upsells, motivation loops, and blame management. The reason this feels rampant is because it is rampant. It's a low-cost model with enormous upside. And here's the truth. Most of this lifestyle from these people that you see online is not paid for by SMMA, dropshipping, OFM, or trading. It's paid for by selling you the idea that you can do those things. The business model isn't the business. The business model is selling the blueprint. So what do you do with that? Well, you either get cynical or you get strategic. The ethical way to play this game is simple. You build something real first, you keep receipts, you win in public, and then you teach it. That's the difference between leverage and just being another parasite. Because if you sell belief without reality, then you're really just gambling with other people's lives. But if you anchor belief to something that actually works, then coaching becomes one of the highest leverage ways to distribute your thinking and really help people. And yes, it can out-earn almost any service business because services are bound by delivery and coaching is bound by attention. And attention scales like crazy. And that's why long-term, the most valuable asset isn't your agency, it's your audience. Because once you have an audience, you can sell almost anything. And if you sell transformation and you do it honestly, well then you can print for life. So if the title of this video is how to print money in 2026, the answer isn't some magic hack. It's this: build attention, build receipts, then sell belief, but anchor it to reality.